I'm here in the kitchen at number 40 Hillview Road, and I'm busy on one of those obsessions that one gets. I'm trying to cook a recipe which I tasted at a restaurant, but I thought I could do better. So I'll just show you what I'm trying to do, and then I'll take you through the process and we can work out whether it was a success or not. The date is actually I think it's the 15th of January 2018. So the dish that I ordered in the restaurant was, I can't remember, I've tried to find the menu, but it was actually like fish fingers, but not fish. There were sweet potato fingers which were deep fried, and then along with that there was a black bean sauce, salad, tomatoes and the like, and then some avocado, and on top was served a poached egg, which was a soft runny yolk. So you broke the egg and the yolk ran over the pumpkin fingers, and it was delicious. But I was being very mindful when I started, so I took just a segment of the pumpkin and tasted of the sweet potato and tasted it, and it tasted very bland. So I said to the waiter, I can hardly taste any sweet potato here. And he said, yes, it's mostly ordinary potato, some grated carrot and some sweet potato, but people complained. They said it was too sweet or too spicy. So what I thought I'd do is I asked him how they made it, and what they do is they make a puree in a baking tray, and then they slice it up into fingers, and then they fry the fingers on either side to crisp them, so you get these fingers of vegetable matter. So I'm going to try and make the same thing, but I'm going to try and make mine taste more like sweet potato, and I'm going to try and put a bit of spice into it, so they're a little bit spicy as well, onion and so on, maybe chili, a little bit of chili. So what I've done at the moment is because it's sweet potato and pumpkin, I've added pumpkin to mine. I tend to be very wet, so what I've done is I've sliced them up very fine, and I'm trying to dehydrate them a bit in a baking tray in the oven. I'll just give you a look at that now. So there's a shot of the baking tray in the oven, and I've left the pumpkin strips on top because they're much wetter than the sweet potato. But it's been in for about an hour now, and I keep stirring it so that I can lose a bit of the moisture. Otherwise the puree is going to be just very sloppy. So that's the next step. Just leave that to dehydrate and then get on to making a kind of a puree, and I'll take you through it. Okay, now I'm ready for the next phase. I'm not sure if this is going to work. I'm sort of bored with waiting for these things to dry, and I don't want them to dry out too much. So it's the sweet potato and a little bit of pumpkin as well. Pumpkin stays wet forever. And what I'm going to try is and use this attachment for the kitchen whiz. It's a whir, sort of, there we go then. It's a blade that whirls around on the top of a plate. So I'm going to use that one. I don't want to puree it. I want to chop it fairly fine. And then transfer it to this bowl. And then when I've done it all, I'll transfer it back into there and bake it. So let's see how that goes. I'll give you a show in a minute. So ready for a trial run. I've loaded up the thing with pumpkin and sweet potato. And now this is what fell clattering to the ground a minute ago. And so here we go. Oh, okay. Question is that going to be fine enough? Let's have a look. As I say, I don't want to puree it, I just want to chop it up fine and then bake it. No. So a lot of it is still just gone straight through, so that's not going to work, so I'll have to try another attachment. Next I will try the slasher, which goes into the bottom of the container. So let's try that. It goes in like that, and if you're not careful, having used this before I know, if you're not careful, it turns it into a very fine mush. Have a look at that. Oh, that's a bit better, I think. Okay, so that's definitely what I was aiming at. It's not a puree. It's still slightly moist, and it's not. It's got chunky bits in it, but I'm hoping to cook it so that it doesn't have it's not crunchy. It's got to all be soft, but with a little bit of texture. So now comes the fun part, spicing it up. Okay, wish me luck. I'm about to get my hands into the sweet potato pumpkin mix, and I'm toying with the following. This here is just vinegar, olive oil, and this is Portuguese marinade. It's hot. Paprika, Italian seasoning, which has got a whole variety of Italian herbs in it, 3 eggs to bind it, black pepper, and salt. I can't think of anything else except I'm going to do some onions in a saucepan on the side, and I'm going to mix them in as well. Well, there we are. It's already mixed with it's got Portuguese spices and eggs, and you can see onion, paprika, herbs, salt and so on in there. And now it goes into the baking tray, and then I'm going to bake it. There we are, in the tray, ready to go into the oven. I found these cornflakes crumbs in the cupboard. I hope it doesn't end up tasting like a breakfast cereal, but we shall see. So I'll put it in the oven, probably about 160 degrees for about an hour, and see what happens. I'm going to actually take it out before it's cooked, and I'm going to slice it into fingers and then cook it again. So we'll see what happens. Okay, there they are, and now back into the oven, and I might have to do that again before I finish cooking them. So just to make sure they're separate. It's still pretty soggy underneath there. Okay, so I've now taken them out of the roasting pan and put them onto a grid, because the bottoms are still quite soggy and I want them just to firm up on the bottom. And so I'll leave them, and I've turned the heat down, so I'll leave them in there at about just 120, something like that. But I've broken a few while I was taking them out, and this is an opportunity to see if they're worth eating, so I'm going to give them the taste test now. Okay, so this is the taste test for my sweet potato, sun pumpkin, hot Portuguese spice fingers, and these are some that broke when I was taking them out of the roasting pan, and they're pretty soggy on the bottom. They're still pretty doughy on the bottom. So what I'm doing is I put them in on a grid, and I'm drying them out from below. And the idea is that once they've dried out and cooled, then before you serve them, you fry them in olive oil on either side. But the question is, what do they taste like? So I've got a whole lot of broken bits here, and I'm about to taste them. So I'll take a piece out of this one, soggy as it is. The top's nice. Definitely get the pumpkin. Definitely get the sweet potato. Nice chewy top. The Portuguese spice it's there. It's got a bite to it. I reckon this would be really nice with this salad. It's quite sweet too. The sweet potato is sweet, which is what I was expecting at that restaurant. It's really nice. Okay, I reckon some yogurt or maybe avocado smashed up. Something just to cool it a little bit. And a nice tomato salad would be pretty nice. I think I'll take one to the restaurant and hand it over and say, this is what you should taste. It's pretty nice. And if the bottom's like the top's got crumbs on it, and it's quite tough. It's a bit spicy, but nice. It's not too spicy. The spice, maybe a bit more salt as well. It could be a bit salty, the sweet and salt, and maybe a bit more sour, but it's certainly not a disaster. And I look forward to trying it once I've dried those out, doing the frying in olive oil and then serving them with yogurt and tomato salad and maybe avocado. So I can mark this down out of 10 as a success. A lot of effort, but mark it down out of 10, maybe is a 7, which is a worthwhile effort. The one that I had at the restaurant on Friday was more like a 5, so I've done well.